Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Hoping you can hear me. Just to let you know, it's pretty cool to have a theory. Maybe you get in too early, but the theory, and then you combine it with a chart pattern. So I'm hoping let me see. Great. And I'm hoping the YouTube video channel can see me. So what am I talking about in here? I'm talking about this. So my theory was that the unemployment report that said there was a loss of 348,000 jobs in the household, that would hit Home Depot. But you had to combine it with a chart. So there's your chart. Now, what's cool about this is we also said Tesla. Did I get in Tesla too early? Heck yeah, I did. But look at this break right here. That's at 1025. See if we can get the sound to work. So it looks like it's not sure why it's not working. I think it's working now. So that's what I'm watching. So definitely, tech, if you could help me with this, that would be great. So it looks like it's working in the essentials room. This is what I'm watching. I'm watching that bond market. I'm watching Tesla. I'm watching Meta. I'm watching Apple. I want to see how they act relative to if there's any torque in the bond market. That's the 30-year, but it looks like they're trying to key off of that. Trying. So if this gets down to here and this won't go down, yeah, you'll probably be dead right. But right now, everything is hypersensitive to the NASDAQ, no doubt about it. So that's where I am right now. As you see, at this exact moment, every downtick of the bond market, well, we'll see. So far, you're right. So the bonds haven't gone down enough to matter. Nobody cares at the moment. So just at the moment. So just keep that in mind. So I'm just telling you, when I see this, I'm going on relative strength and weakness, because when everything's that overbought at resistance, I have to go on what already isn't acting that well. And so that's where I am at the moment. But I'll tell you right now, when I'm watching this, I'm watching all these ticks of the NASDAQ. And I'm telling you, if you like playing things on the short side, there's a time and a place to play them. I like looking for the cross and the consolidation. The cross and the consolidation. I'm doing a class on that. I'm doing a webinar I did last night, and I'm doing another one, but it's about a theory and a cross. You got to have that cross of either the ATR trailing stop on the bottom or a trend line. So that's definitely in the back of my mind, just to let you know of what I look at. Do I see it in Amazon? No. Apple, usually after a gap, it better hold this. I'm going to respect the break in either direction. Let's just put it that way. The respect in either direction. If it breaks that, it probably goes to here. If it does that, then you're probably going to see the NASDAQ not up as much as you think it would be. But at the moment, everything looks okay. So I don't take shots on earnings, just to let you know. So if DraftKings worked for you, great. Now, if DraftKings worked for you after the opening, that was even better because of the probability of those bull flags right here. So yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about, and I'm glad it worked for you, but I just don't take shots on things. If you would have done that last time, bad. This time, good. So I was on the floor 8 years. I never took a shot on earnings, just to let you know. So just never took a shot on earnings. So there's always enough to do afterwards. So just keep that in mind. So right now, what am I watching? I'm watching that bond market, and I'm watching on how these things are acting to the bond market. Right now, they're acting great. So if you even think of the short side, you have to see the bonds get all the way down to here and see if these care. At the moment, they don't care. I mean, so that's where I am right now, sort of watching. And if you want to play the short side when things are overbought, you have to look for trend lines. So if you're a bond trader, right there, 7 ticks. On the other hand, do you see a trend line in the NASDAQ and the ES? No. You saw it way back here and it never broke. So those, now Tesla, we'll see, because the whole market looks good. So there's your if then. If that NASDAQ does go down, which it's not, but if it does, you're probably going to see this fill the entire gap. But the probability, I'm just telling you, it's all probability. And the probability right now is that the NASDAQ refuses to go lower. On the other hand, if it does downtick, yeah, Tesla could fill the whole gap. So it's all an if then. And that's why right now at noon it's a little rough. And as you see, markets do not want to go down. Maybe later, but not now. The only thing that's acting like it wants to go down is either the bond market, which got overbought at resistance, or Tesla, which refuses to uptick even when the NASDAQ upticked. So here we go. If the NASDAQ sells off, then Tesla's going to be the first to go down, barring any bad good news. But you just don't have that oomph on the downside yet. Now, if I see this bond market, by the way, not a bad call about 113.30. There you go. Right there. When does this market care? They're only going to care if this is under a buck, under a point. That's all that people are going to care about, and they don't care at the moment. So you're going to have to see the bond market have a big sell-off for this NASDAQ to care, even though it's overbought at resistance. But at the moment, they don't care. And like I said, it's all about reaction. And right now, these markets do not care about the bonds at the moment. So it's one of those that the ZB, because I think that's what led the markets up. It's got to go down a lot. It's got to invalidate that bull flag. And the only way it's going to do that is under that. So it still could retain a bullish structure, but it's way overbought at resistance. So that's the whole thing. If this sells off, then maybe everything else stops because it's overbought. But as you see at the moment, you don't have 3 reasons to get bearish. Maybe later, not now. And it's all perception. That's all it is perception. And right now, the perception is NASDAQ and ES don't care. And that's what I was telling you. So there's no reason, If the ES and the NASDAQ were already selling off on the upper right and the bond market went down, that's a whole different animal. But that's not what happened. And like I said, nothing looks bad. So all I'm doing right now is watching and waiting. I'm watching to see if there's any unusual strength. When the ES and NASDAQ act like this, there's no way I'm messing around on the short side until I get a better signal, and there is no signal on the downside at the moment. So then I go to a lot of other charts. There's advanced decline. They just don't look bad. So there's nothing that looks bad unless it's an individual idea, like you had Home Depot, Lowe's, and Caterpillar earlier, not now. They're just not there yet. So the only if then is if this bond market is down another 10 ticks. Then these will care. But they don't care right now. I just have a tough time buying when the hourly and the daily are overbought. You can do it. I'm just telling you, I have a tough time. Of these, that's why I have this red colors. You see which one looks the worst at the moment, and that's Tesla. So if you want, I can share this. So I don't even look at the dollar. I'm sorry. I don't even have that up there. I care about the rates. Do I think they topped out? Well, they're overbought in a downtrend. So I have no idea other than it's about how they work off their overbought condition. If they work off the overbought MACD, and I'll show you an example. So if they work off this overbought by staying in this zone, yeah, then temporarily, I think it's going to be a good bounce. It could go all the way up to here. But I just have a tough time when it's this overbought. That's the only thing. It's just too overbought. But it's definitely about how it works off the overbought. That's why back here we were buying when it worked off that overbought by staying as a bull flag after a rectangle. Now, sure, that could be a bull flag. It's just really overbought. So, I mean, that's the only nut at the moment. All I know is I mentioned about the Tesla could be a bear flag, and that's what's happening. Could that fill the gap? Sure, it could. It's acted like garbage compared to everything else. So just keep that in mind. And chart patterns mastery room, just to let you know, and let me go put that in there. We're looking for we got to take 30%. 30% on half. Let's go. I got to go put that in chart patterns mastery. So just give me a second. They were mad at me earlier, I'm sure. I was on a conference call, and I think you take 30%. So let me put that in here. There, taking 30% on half. So now let me just tell you when it comes to Tesla, because, I'm not perfect at this. All right. And you'll be like, why the hell did you do this? And you're right. I was going on shopping stocks underperforming the market. So, I mean, consumer stocks. So, what did I do in Tesla? Instead of waiting for my pitch, we jumped in right here to buy a put fly. So, we just stayed in it. Then I saw these. Then I saw the cross of the ATR trailing stop. And then I saw this that I told you about in the relative weakness. The big question now is, you get out of it all. So I'm going to tell them that I'm going to get out of another quarter. So give me a second. So chart patterns mastery, I hope you're seeing this. So give me 1 second to show them. And this is where it gets tough, because definitely the greed factor that you think there's going to be a double or a triple, but it's also about money management. So I'm going to tell them I'm selling another quarter at $1.10. There. Now, don't get me wrong. If this sells off, yeah, that's probably going to get crushed. No doubt about it. But chart patterns mastery, I'm out of 3/4. So I'm out of 3/4. Apple, we're down in. Just to let you know, we did a cheap put fly and it didn't work. So that's where we are with this. But definitely, it's all about patterns. So, and it's also about the bond market uptick. So the whole market uptick. Now it's interesting. I love this. Let me share this with you. So I want to share this chart grid. So I don't want to just be on a lot of different things. The bandwidth is bad. So just get in here in this room. That's what I do. So, but there's my 12 grid with the colors. Let's see if I can get that. A lot of times when I copy and paste, worked. 12 grid with ATR colors. There. That can help. And as you see, Tesla's starting to go down. We're still in a quarter. It's $1.39. It went to 0. Just keep that in mind. It's $1.42 now. So hey, this is Chris. And like I said, I just bandwidth wise, I was having a little problem having too many things on. But Tesla, believe it or not, we're up 50%. I bet you didn't think that would happen. So we only have a quarter left, but you're up 50%. That's a beautiful thing. So just keep that in mind. I hope you're seeing what we're talking about. And the only one bad now is Apple. I'm going to try to stay in Tesla a little longer. But, $1.55, if you could make 100%, I'd take it. Next one, it might be Meta. I would watch Meta now. This is all because the market's waffling and they're already going down. So that's what I do. But Diane, I hope in the chart patterns mastery, I've redeemed myself, so to speak. In fact, is the market so strong, I'm going to get out of the rest. So let me go put that for you. Man, the stock looks so bad, but I'm going to do this. There. And now you got a good old trade in there. So I bet you didn't think we'd make money on that, but we did. The next one I'd watch is Meta. So this has good open interest at 310. So I'm definitely watching the Meta in here. Just keep that in mind. So, and if this breaks down, then these suckers will probably go lower. Tesla, I probably got out too early. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, well, George S., it was a good job in Tesla now, but we saw the relative weakness. That's how I thought I'd be right. Now, the problem is you got the open interest at 220. So that's why I got out. Is it higher now? Darn right it's higher. You know, it's $1.50. But I just worry about that 220. So that's why I got out of 3/4. And really, I shouldn't have gotten out of the rest, but I did. So I got out just for a financial decision because I'm on all these rooms. But so far, you know, I'm off the schneid, so to speak. Now that the markets are waffling, just waffling, not bad. The bond market would have to break for me to get really bearish, which I'm not yet. Now, as you see, if you're watching these things, if you're watching that ATR trailing stop, yeah, economically sensitive getting trashed. To me, that's also Tesla. Meta is in its own world. So just, I don't know what to tell you in there, except that it has a tendency to go to its strike price at 310. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, the only reason to get out of Tesla is that open interest. But relative strength wise, it's acted terrible. No doubt about it. And I'll tell you, I'll get back in Tesla if it's acting like this and it's slightly over 221 and the bonds out of nowhere are getting hit, but they're not. But the economically sensitive did. That's a beautiful thing. Now, as you see, Tesla trying to go to 220. So chart patterns mastery, we're out. We're out. Ended up being a good trade. So Apple, we still have something that's cheap and it's cheaper, but it's still not that far out of the money. We got to watch that carefully. Nvidia, some of these are starting to roll over. Just keep that in the back of your mind. And now, if you're a bond trader, I'm not saying to do this, but I am watching that bear flag. And if that breaks, that's a big if. Then it's going to break this, and that could get it to here. And then if it doesn't hold there, you're talking about here. Now, that's a long shot. You're on a Friday. It's sort of slow, but I just wanted to lay that out for you, what's out there. Now, I would watch the meta. All I'm doing in there is watching relative strength, relative weakness. Could that be a bull flag? Darn right it could. Is it acting bad relative to the market at this exact moment? How about a 3-minute? Not showing you anything. When would I get extremely bearish? If it got under here and then rallied to touch the underside. But you're not seeing that. So just keep that in mind. As you see, we're out of Tesla. That's just experience about strike prices. Meta, not yet. Everything else, not yet. On the other hand, I am watching the Russell. I'm watching that bond bear flag. Watch that bear flag. If that breaks, like it broke this bear flag, you're talking about 113.20 or under, being up less than a point. And then I think this will listen. So just, Tesla, we're out of. So just to keep that in mind, in the chart patterns mastery, we're out. In fact, at 10:05 a.m., and then I had to go to a conference call, I posted that Tesla was forming a bear flag. I guess that worked. So now we're out. You got to be out with that strike price. All it did was fill the gap. There you go. And like I said, not Tesla. We took our profit. It's too close to the strike price. So just keep that in mind. Meta, the if then. Longer term, it looks okay. This would have to go down. Nothing looks bad. Just keep that in mind. I'm not sure what to buy when you're overbought, but boy, it's just not time to short. There was a time for it, not now. And all I can tell you is Meta has a habit of doing this. 310 is where the open interest is. But this would have to be up only like 110. And then you might see this at 310. Maybe. Like I said, we're out of Tesla. Still in Apple. That's not a good one, but Tesla made up for it. And I'm fired up about that. And don't write off Meta later in the day. But you have to see this bond market really break down for this to listen. That's how it looks to me. And you see, good exit in Tesla. And don't get me wrong, if this gets back up to here, and then I see it roll under the ATR trailing stop with a bear flag, darn right, I'll get right back in it. So just keep that in mind. I'm not in it now. We took a profit. Like I said, a bear flag in the ZB. It's got to break there. If it breaks there, it could break a bigger pattern. If it breaks a bigger pattern, it could go down by that amount. And that would get it up less than a point. But right now, NASDAQ and ES don't care. Just keep that in mind. There's a time when they care and they're sensitive to it, which isn't right now. So I know that's a lot of lines, but that's what I'm going to be watching. That's what's pulled the market up. And you might be right about shorts and all that, but I'm going to keep up a 5-minute chart. So I'm going to respect the break direction. And that's where I am. And I'll leave up a 5-minute for the next 10 minutes. So good exit in Tesla. Yeah, that thing's worthless now. Holy cow, how is that possible? So there you go with filling the gap, going back to the strike price. That's a beautiful thing. Everything else, we're wrong in Apple, right in Tesla, and that's where we are at the moment. I will tell you, I will try to look at some spreads later and in Tesla, but I would like to see me have 3 reasons, like breaking an ATR trailing stop and a bear flag. You don't see any of that. Just keep that in mind. Now, there could be some real fireworks at the end of the day, but at the moment, I'd rather wait for your pitch if you even thought of the downside. On the upside, it's just too overbought for me. Like I said, I would watch this. On the upper right, I think that's the key. So with Apple up, I don't know about anything unless I see bearish patterns. So just keep that in mind. Bearish patterns. And if the bonds do break, you'll see a break and then a consolidation. That's what you're going to be watching. At least that's what I'm going to be watching. Like I said, if this breaks up, yeah, you might get your wish at 4,400. No doubt about it. Nothing wants to go down. So that's where I am at the moment. I just think it's too late for me to buy things, and that's where I am. But at the moment, markets want to go up. I know that sounds weird, but it's just they want to go up. So until proven otherwise. So now I think you see the writing on the wall. What looks bad is just the ones that are probably in red. Yeah, economically sensitive, who knows with Google? We already made our money in Tesla, and maybe if I see a bear flag later. Just keep that in mind. You're not seeing anything other than the Russell's weakening a teeny bit, 4 points. Bonds, still the verdict's out, but they are overbought at resistance. So that's what I'm going to be watching the rest of the day is, are these bonds going to break up or down? That's, I think, the big key for everyone. And nothing else at the moment. Not Apple coming back like a champ. So I was wrong in there. Tesla, we took our profit. Bonds, watching closely. So I watch the 30-year. But right now, markets don't care. Just keep that in mind. Markets don't care. Now, if the bonds sell off and the market sells off, everybody's going to say, well, it's because the bond sold off. But at the moment, nothing cares. And that's where we are. And like you see, good exit in Tesla. Apple didn't work. But this one was a good exit. That's what I'm here for in Chart Patterns Mastery. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave soon. Chest X-ray. Yep, Apple going to fill the gap. Nobody cares about anything other than what's going on with the overall market. Like I said, though, this is what I'm going to be watching all day. And this, obviously. So that's where I am at the moment. And when you talk about gap and go, look at the measuring gap. This is what we were talking about in Chart Patterns Mastery. That line, that amount from the low, and we're there. So just keep in mind we're overbought at resistance, but no turn. Just keep that in mind. No turn yet. So definitely about that measuring gap. And that's where the markets are right now. So I got to leave about 3 minutes early. Everybody take care and have a great weekend.